My beloved brothers and sisters, let me begin by asking you a very simple but deep question. If you're aiming at nothing, where do you think you're going to hit? Absolutely nowhere. A person walking without direction is more lost than someone sitting still. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is slowly slipping away from our lives, something that has become rare in this age of distractions, noise and chaos. That is focus. And let me tell you, without focus your goals are just dreams, your prayers are just words, and your life is just a blur. A life without focus is like a ship sailing without a compass, drifting endlessly with no clear direction, no destination, and no real sense of purpose. Many people today are busy, constantly doing something, always on the move. But being busy is not the same as being productive. If you're constantly moving but have no clear aim, no vision, and no goal, then you are simply exhausting yourself without making any meaningful progress. In Islam, intention niyat is vital, but intention must be followed by conscious direction and focused effort. Without focus, even your good intentions may not bear fruit. A person who wakes up in the morning with no plan, no target, and no priorities often ends the day having accomplished very little. Why? Because the absence of focus means that anything and everything can pull you away. You might begin the day intending to seek knowledge, pray with Khushoo, spend time with your family, or work towards your goals. But without focus, distractions quickly take over. The phone rings, social media draws you in, unnecessary conversations consume your time, and before you know it, the day is gone. You were moving, but you weren't progressing. You were active, but not intentional. This is why Islam teaches of structure and purpose in our daily lives. From the 5 daily prayers to our supplications and routines, everything is meant to help us stay grounded and focused. Allah did not create us without purpose. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, Allah says, "Boo, do you think that we created you in vain?" This rhetorical question is a powerful reminder that our existence has meaning. But if we do not live with focus, we treat life as though it were meaningless. A focused life is a life of clarity. It allows you to say no to what doesn't serve your mission, and yes to what brings you closer to Allah and your highest potential. It helps you filter your actions, your thoughts, and even your companions. If you don't decide what to focus on, the world will decide it for you. And often, it will distract you from your true purpose. Focus transforms random activity into intentional action, and it is only through focused living that a person can truly walk the path of success in both this life and the next. We live in an age of constant distraction. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning until we close them at night, we are bombarded with notifications, images, messages, sounds, and information that demand our attention. The modern world is designed to keep us hooked, scrolling endlessly, jumping from one thought to another, and rarely being truly present in the moment. This constant noise not only affects our productivity, but also damages our ability to reflect, concentrate, and connect deeply with ourselves, with others, and most importantly, with Allah. Technology has given us many benefits, but it has also created a culture of short attention spans. It's easy to pick up your phone for 5 minutes and lose an hour. It's easy to sit with family, yet be somewhere else mentally because your mind is scrolling through notifications. It's easy to stand in prayer, physically still, but mentally wandering from work to worries to worldly matters. The heart cannot settle when it is pulled in 100 directions, and when the heart is restless, it becomes harder to feel peace, clarity, or closeness to Allah. Distractions don't always come in the form of evil or haram. In fact, one of the greatest tricks of Shaytan is to occupy you with things that are not necessarily sinful, but that simply waste your time. Endless videos, meaningless debates, gossip, entertainment. These things might seem harmless, but they steal your focus little by little, until you're left with nothing but regret. You find yourself saying, "Where did the time go?" Time didn't just go. It was taken, minute by minute, by distractions that seemed small but added up. The Quran speaks often about remembrance, reflection, and mindfulness. These qualities cannot exist without focus. If you are always mentally elsewhere, how can you truly reflect on the verses of Allah? How can you listen to advice with an open heart? How can you plan your life in a way that aligns with your purpose? Distraction is not just a modern inconvenience. It is a spiritual danger. A distracted heart becomes distant from Allah. And when that happens, we lose not just our time, we lose our peace, our direction, and our ability to live a meaningful life. That's why guarding our focus in this noisy world has become a form of worship in itself. Success in both this world and the hereafter is deeply connected to the presence of mind and heart. What we call focus or Khushoo. It is not enough to simply go through the motions of good deeds or righteous actions. What truly matters is the sincerity, attention, and consciousness behind them. This is especially evident in our Salah, the most sacred connection between a believer and Allah. When we pray without focus, we may fulfill the outer requirements, but the spiritual essence, the true impact, is lost. Allah praises the believers in the Quran by saying, "Be successful indeed are the believers, those who humble themselves in their prayer." This humility is a state of complete presence, where the heart is soft, the mind is still, and the soul is connected. In our everyday lives, we often believe that productivity and success come from doing more. More tasks, more commitments, more responsibilities. But in reality, success is not in doing more, it is in being present in what you are doing. A person who focuses deeply on a single task can achieve far more than someone who rushes through 10 things without giving full attention to any of them. This principle applies not only to work or studies but also to acts of worship, relationships, and personal growth. Focus allows quality to take priority over quantity, and it brings barakah, blessing, into our time and efforts. When a person is truly focused in their worship, even a short prayer becomes powerful. When one is focused in their goals, even a small step brings them closer to something great. The Prophet exemplified this in his life. He was deeply present in every interaction, whether speaking to a companion, leading a battle, or praying to his Lord. He gave his full attention to whoever was in front of him, teaching us that presence is not just a sign of manners, it is a reflection of sincerity. Today, we are often physically present but mentally absent, which leads to shallow relationships, ineffective worship, and unfulfilled goals. True success demands that we return to a state of presence and mindfulness. Without it, our efforts are scattered, and our results remain hollow. But with focus, even the smallest actions gain weight, because they come from a heart that is engaged and a mind that is directed with purpose. Focus in life is very much like nurturing a plant. When you plant a seed, you don't simply leave it there and expect it to grow on its own. You water it regularly, make sure it gets enough sunlight, protect it from pests, and give it time and care. Only then does it begin to sprout and grow strong roots. Similarly, your dreams, goals, relationships, and even your connection with Allah require consistent attention and care. Without focus, these things will never grow to their full potential. They may remain in your heart as intentions, but they will not flourish into reality. Many people start something with excitement and ambition, but because they do not give it sustained attention, they quickly lose momentum. Whether it's memorizing the Quran, starting a business, learning a skill, or building a stronger prayer habit, success in all these areas depends on how well you can focus over time. If you keep switching your attention from one goal to another, or if you let distractions constantly interrupt your efforts, you're just like the person who keeps moving the seed from one place to another. It never has the chance to take root. This world is full of things that can pull your focus away. Some of them are urgent, some are tempting, and some just seem easier than sticking to your goal. But the one who truly succeeds is the one who protects their focus, like a gardener protects a delicate plant. They create an environment that supports growth by removing distractions, setting boundaries, and making time for what matters. Just as a plant doesn't grow overnight, meaningful results also take time. That's why patience and discipline are so important in maintaining focus. When you nurture focus consistently, your efforts begin to bear fruit. You'll see your knowledge increase, your spiritual connection deepen, and your productivity improve. Even when challenges come, your strong foundation keeps you grounded. But without focus, everything becomes scattered. You may try many things but never feel fulfilled, because nothing is given enough attention to succeed. Just like a garden left unattended becomes overrun with weeds, a life without focus becomes overrun with distractions and regrets. Focus is not just about doing things. It's about doing the right things with care, commitment, and consistency. Only then will you see the fruits of your efforts, by the will of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, the most focused and spiritually connected human being to ever walk this earth, would still seek protection from a heart that lacked humility and focus. One of his most well-known supplications was, "O Allah, I seek refuge in you from a heart that does not humble itself." This powerful dua shows us just how important focus, presence, and spiritual attentiveness truly are. If the Prophet who was guided by revelation and blessed with the purest heart, feared the possibility of distraction and spiritual detachment, then what about us? How much more should we be concerned about the state of our own hearts and minds? This teaches us that distraction is not a minor issue. It is a serious spiritual condition that can silently remove the soul from its connection with Allah. It may not happen all at once, But gradually, a heart that is distracted becomes dry, distant, and disconnected. You may still perform acts of worship, say your prayers, recite the Quran, but if the heart is absent and the mind is preoccupied, the beauty and power of those acts begin to fade. The essence of worship is not just in action, but in attention. That is why the Prophet emphasized the inner dimensions of ibadah alongside the physical ones. We often assume that we can function well with divided attention, that multitasking is a sign of efficiency. But in truth, it weakens our ability to be present with Allah, to feel sincere gratitude, and to truly reflect on His signs. Even in moments of dua, how often are our hearts really there? How often do we say words with our tongues while our minds are elsewhere? This is not just a bad habit, it is something that Prophet actively sought to protect himself from. That in itself is a lesson. When we follow the sunnah of the Prophet in this regard, we begin to value inner focus as much as outward action. We stop rushing through prayers. We learn to pause before speaking. We give people our full attention. We begin to live more consciously, with purpose and clarity. Seeking protection from a distracted heart is not just a dua. It's a mindset. It's an acknowledgement that without the help of Allah, we are vulnerable to the chaos of the world and the tricks of Shaytan. But when we seek His help sincerely, He grants us the calm, centered focus that leads us closer to Him. One of the most subtle and dangerous tricks of Shaytan is not always to make you commit major sins, but simply to keep you busy with things that do not matter. He doesn't have to tempt you into haram directly to lead you astray. He just needs to steal your focus, your time, and your attention. By filling your day with distractions, endless entertainment, mindless scrolling, and unimportant tasks, Shaytan achieves something even more damaging in the long term. He makes you forget your purpose. When you forget your purpose, you stop striving for Jannah with sincerity and direction. You might still be doing some good, but it's scattered, without depth or consistency. And gradually, the passion in your worship begins to fade. It often begins in small, unnoticed ways. You tell yourself you'll check your phone for 5 minutes, and an hour passes. You sit down to read Quran, but you keep getting distracted by notifications. You plan to pray on time, but get caught up in unnecessary conversations or shows. These aren't sins by themselves, but when they become habits, they consume the space in your heart that was meant for Allah. Your day ends, and you wonder where the time went. You feel spiritually dry, not because you did anything terribly wrong, but because you allowed yourself to be distracted from what really mattered. Shaytan understands that focus is the gate to transformation. When a believer is focused on their prayer, their goals, their remembrance of Allah, and their role in this life, they become powerful. They become productive, impactful, and spiritually strong. But take that focus away, and the same person becomes lazy, confused, and emotionally drained. It's like a sharp blade that's lost its edge. Still a blade, but ineffective. This is why protecting your focus is a form of spiritual self-defense. It's not just a matter of discipline or productivity. It's a protection of your soul. Every minute you give to something pointless is a minute you didn't give to your growth, your family, your dika, your dreams. You don't need to fall into haram to lose your way. You only need to get busy with what doesn't benefit you. So the next time you find yourself drifting into distractions, remind yourself your time is your soul. Guard it, respect it, and don't let Shaytan waste it for you. My beloved brothers and sisters, as we come to the end of this important reminder, let us reflect deeply on the value of focus in our lives. Focus is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It is the bridge between intention and achievement, between knowing what matters and actually living by it. Without focus, even our best dreams remain dreams, and our worship becomes routine without meaning. But with focus, we find clarity, depth, peace, and purpose in everything we do. We live in a world filled with distractions, and Shaytan is using every means to pull us away from what matters most. Whether it's our prayers, our family, our goals, or our time with the Quran, every moment of distraction is a moment lost. One we will never get back. Yet Allah, in His mercy, gives us the chance every day to refocus, to return to realign ourselves with the path that leads to Jannah. Let us remember that even the Prophet Muhammad the most guided and focused human being, would seek protection from a heart that lacks humility and attention. So what about us? Are we making dua for focus? Are we actively guarding our attention from being stolen by things that will not benefit us in the grave? Today, make the choice to live intentionally. Simplify your life, set clear goals. Prioritize your deen. Be present in your salah. Listen with sincerity. Work with purpose. Don't let your life become a blur of meaningless motion. You are not created without reason. Your time is a gift. Your focus is a responsibility. And your purpose is a trust from Allah. So take control. Start small. Start now. And ask Allah, Ya Allah, help me focus on what pleases you. Let me not be distracted by what doesn't matter. Make me a person of direction, sincerity, and purpose. I may Allah bless us all with clarity in our vision, a purity in our hearts, and focus in our lives, so that we may walk the path that leads straight to His pleasure and His paradise. Ameen.